They want to know that's what I thought. You know, you've got parking on that. It should be. There's no Well, I wish I'd got the
You can tell them that that's her signed receipt when she received it.
Al is a good guy.
Okay.
Hard to believe. Monica is on committee.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That makes 6.
Are you guys on the original committee? Who's on the original committee?
I'm not.
You're not.
Not original, right?
Yeah,
Committee we formed.
No.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. We're all here.
I forgot he said it.
Yeah, he said it. He's not on the Justin's on the subcommittee.
Then we're all here.
Okay, did it here?
You're here, so you just sit down and let.
Did it? Yeah, good.
Yeah, it did.
Okay.
Okay. All right,
no big deal.
Yeah, she called. She's on. She will not be here. Okay.
Let's start with the other teacher. Yeah.
Right.
Go ahead, boss. I didn't start today.
Okay, I'm sorry.
First one. It's all right.
Okay, well, I think I've got my glasses now. I can go ahead and start. I'd like to call to order this special meeting of the Cedar Rapids City Council. And this is in reference to the purpose of the Northwest Recreation Center Site Selection Task Force. We're going to review and discuss recommend a building site location to assist in the redevelopment of the Northwest flood-impacted neighborhood and to serve the greater needs of the community. This meeting is to update the Northwest Recreation Center Task Force and the Flood Recovery Committee on the Northwest Recreation Center project and to obtain support of the project site plan for submission to FEMA as part of the request for an improved project. So I'm calling this meeting to order at this point. Is there any public input as it relates to this specific agenda?
Where is that? No,
We'll see you down on the site.
site.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
We're getting there.
Okay.
And Vernon has just arrived, just in time. Seeing none, we'll go ahead and move on with item 3, the EDA update RE, CDBG parcel, Mr. O'Hearn.
Thank you. And I'm going to be talking about a meeting that a number of us were at, including Councilman Vernon, so I'm here, she can keep me sort of well, perceptions can vary from the meeting, but and I want to take a little liberty with the agenda and just go back and cover the fact that when the site selection committee appointed staff at this site, we all knew that the site was in the 100-year floodplain, and that would raise a number of issues. And since that time, we have been looking at how we could deal with those issues. And I'll just recap in a quick minute. The property right along Ellis Boulevard is at this site was acquired with CDBG funds, and therefore, under our current status with IEDA, comes with deed restrictions on the redevelopment. Stepping back from Ellis just a little bit, we have the original time check park land that the city owns. That land does not have deed restrictions on it. It is also in the 100-year floodplain. And so, since we are proposing to use FEMA dollars with the rebuilding of the Northwest Recreation Center, FEMA also will have a say in our rebuilding of in the 100-year floodplain, and I don't want to lose sight of that issue. We also have a performance period with FEMA on the project worksheet that governs the use of their money. I think it's through May of next year.
July 31st.
July 31st of next year. So in all of these discussions, we do have some time issues that we're trying to keep in front of us. Not only our own desire to get this project going as quickly as possible, but we have some issues with our friends at FEMA. So with those considerations in effect, staff went ahead on this site and prepared this site plan that you're going to see. While this plan was being developed, and just very recently, frankly, well, I'll say it this way. While this plan was being developed, for lots of reasons, we've continued to have discussions with IEDA about our desire on a very targeted, selective basis to want to be able to do some work at the edge, in the 100-year floodplain. We have done a buyout in this community that really is not replicated anywhere that I'm aware of in terms of the use of CDBG funds to buy out properties. And of course, with the way our community is laid out, the impact of the 100-year floodplain on core neighborhoods is quite substantial. So those are issues in general we continue to discuss with IEDA. In the past couple of weeks, we have had a meeting with IEDA and talked to them about our interest in historic areas, 3 of them, the Nouveau, Czech Village, and hopefully as we move along, maybe another area on the west side of the river has had various names that I won't try and get into, but a small area that does contain, on the west side of the river, that does contain a number of buildings that could be eligible for the historic registry, and therefore the area might be eligible as an historic area. So we outlined our interest in those 3 areas and our concern about Ellis Boulevard. Those were the issues we took to IEDA. And we got a very positive response from them on them. They said they are willing to engage with us and work with us on those areas. They did point out to us that it would be easier for them to work with us on historic areas, which was frankly, a big change from working with us on historic buildings, because these historic areas where they have vacant land, really to thrive, need the opportunity to have development on that vacant land. So the idea that they would not only work with us on historic buildings, but on historic areas was very positive. They also understood our interest in Ellis Boulevard, given its situation in the community, and were quite open about trying to work with us on that. They did say that's going to present different challenges to them in terms of what they may or may not be able to do, but they have some ideas. As I sit here today, I can't tell you what those are, unfortunately. So we don't know what options they may be able to propose to us for property in the 100-year floodplain, but not in a historic area. Frankly, we don't know what they're going to propose to us about historic area yet. We just know they've said that will be easier than other areas. So the conundrum we have at this point is we have a plan that we think is an attractive plan that would allow us to move forward outside of the deed restrictions on CDBG property, still will leave us with the issues we need to discuss with FEMA, but that would be one less uncertainty. The other thing we have is we have a pretty strong indication from IEDA of their willingness to work with us, but we don't know what that is at this point. So if I have left anything out or
they're committed to helping us solve problems, and Debbie Durham herself was in the meeting, and it couldn't have gone better. John attended from the flood committee, and Mayor was there, Jeff, her key staff members. I was really pleasantly surprised then when she followed up with us to say that not only in these historic districts, but on Ellis Boulevard, they had an idea for us. In fact, they're coming later in August to let us know what that idea is. But we don't know what that is yet. But they think that's going to work, and while she was out of the country, I think she was in Brazil on an economic development tour, they were to check with the feds. We had the federal authorities on the phone with us during that meeting. So there wasn't going to be any surprise to anybody that this is what we were asking for. You know, here's Ellis Boulevard. We get what your rules say. In fact, the state has been more strict than the feds have been. So we're asking for, how can you work with us? It was very easy for her to say, it's a historic district, so get your historic districts together. But could Ellis be a historic district? They had some other ideas for Ellis, in fact, some other ideas for the rest of them. Like Joe says, we don't know what that is, but so it's kind of a new thing for us where maybe the problem is solved, but we don't really know what that is. So they're coming, I think, later on in August. So.
Monica, did any discussion take place concerning, we had been approached by a group who was interested in being, and I'm always concerned about the use of those CDBG purchased properties rather than letting them sit there with nothing built on them. Can there be temporary facilities put on those?
We didn't ask them that, but what we said to them is, there's rules about blight. There's these federal things you got to fit into. And what we said is, one of our arguments would be that if you don't do development, if we have to mothball historic buildings,
blight.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you know what? I'll tell you what, Debbie Durham and everybody got that immediately.